Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Nina Silic, nutrition and lifestyle coach, and today we're going to talk about the characteristics of successful dieters.
Cool.
What are those characteristics? And what do we possess? Okay, now. Okay, so have you ever seen those people who seem to be just so successful every time they diet? You see them make huge progress, and then maybe you're feeling like, I'm trying to diet all the time and I'm just spinning my wheels and I always end up putting the weight back on, and how come I can't maintain a good physique and a lean physique that I want? And you know what I'm talking about, right? We feel like we're going round and round in circles, doing everything under the sun to lose body fat, and you just can't. But then there's those people that seem to do it really easily. Well, those people who can keep the fat off after they lose it have some simple characteristics and some simple behaviors and habits that they put in place over time, which helps them lose the weight and keep it off. And I'm going to share those with you today. Firstly, they pick an approach that is sustainable for them. What do I mean by this? Okay, so for me, flexible dieting or tracking macros, tracking calories is a really sustainable approach for me. Even if I'm not tracking to a T, even if I'm kind of mindfully tracking or just tracking quite loosely, it keeps me consistent within my calorie targets that I need to hit to maintain the physique I'm looking for depending on my goals. But for someone else that might not be feasible, or someone else might really enjoy eating keto, or not tracking and just eating really, really low carb and high fat and high protein. And if that's sustainable for them and they enjoy eating that way and they can keep the body fat off that way, then that's great. If I tried to do keto, and I've tried it in the past a few times, believe me, I hate it with a passion. I can't stand it. I love carbs. For me, carbs are life. Carbs are amazing and I enjoy them. So I'm not going to cut them out. So losing body fat by cutting out all the carbs in my diet is not going to be a sustainable approach for me in the long term. I might be able to do it for a week and then I'm probably going to be over it and binge eat on some carbohydrates. I know that's what works for me. So just because you see someone else dieting a certain way, like let's say keto for example, it's just a simple one to use as an example, doesn't mean that's right for you. So you might have to experiment with a few different types of dieting to see what works for you. At the end of the day, what matters most in a diet is to be in a caloric deficit to lose body fat and going through periods of maintenance and eating at maintenance as well in between dieting to help you keep that body fat off in the long run. But whatever approach you choose, make sure you can sustain it for a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year from now, and that's going to be the most sustainable approach for you. Secondly, they are adherent. So what do I mean by this? Adherence. Adherence is like the most important thing. I can give you the most perfect diet to follow. I can give you a meal plan even. I can give you macros. I can give you calories. If you can't stick to it, then it's not the right process for you, or you might need to change certain things in your lifestyle, certain behaviors and habits to help you stick to something. So it's finding that middle ground between having something that is sustainable that you can stick to, or making some changes in your lifestyle to help you stick to it. You got to find that balance between those two. But if you can't stick to something and you're reducing calories one day, overeating on the weekend, and then going up and down and being like, I tracked one day if I'm tracking macros and track the rest of the week, you're not going to be adherent. You're not going to be able to follow whatever plan you have in place. So whichever structure you choose, you need to be able to stick to it for the long term. So what else do? They practice some form of cognitive restraint. So what if, can't even say it today. What is cognitive restraint? So you have to still be mindful and think, okay, maybe in some meals I have to make sure I'm getting enough protein in each meal. Or if I choose to eat the cookie here, I can't have the ice cream later. I'm trying to balance out my food intake. So you still, even though you want to pick a sustainable approach, you have to have some form of restraint or be within your deficit. So know that if you maybe overeat a little bit today, you have to undereat a little bit tomorrow. It has to be that balance of some kind of restraint within a structure to get you to where you want to be. They monitor their progress. So if you're not monitoring your progress, you have no idea what's happening with your body. So how are you going to know if what you're doing is even working or what to change to continue to lose body fat, let's say if that's your goal. So you need to monitor your weight, and I like to do a 7-day weigh-in or even 5 days or just 3 days, whatever you choose, but an average of your weight throughout the week, because weight fluctuates every day because of stress, sleep, food intake, water intake. There's so many things that influence scale weight. So it's really great to take an average of your weight and use that. Also, you can do body fat measurements like skin calipers. You can just do waist measurements like with a tape measure. You can measure your progress in the gym, your performance. There's so many things you can utilize as progress. You need to measure your progress from week to week so you can make any necessary adjustments that you need to get you to your goals. They also exercise regularly. So consistency is key. You can't not train for 2 weeks, then train for 5 days, then not train for another 2 to 3 weeks, then not train for 2 days. You really need to be consistent. So a good way to do that is have minimums for your week. So I like to, even for myself, set a 2 to 3 day a week minimum of workouts. And if I get 4 to 5, then that's awesome. But I'm always at least doing 2 to 3 workouts a week, and maybe a step goal, minimum step goal per day, like 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day, depending on what my goals are. So it's great to always have a minimum that you need to reach per week to keep that consistency going over time. And if you get extra in, that's great. It's no point in going from being a beginner where you haven't really been training and wanting to train 6 days a week out of nowhere. That's not really a great way to set you up for success for the week. It might just be too much. So it's great to start with a minimum and then work your way up over time. They focus on the long-term goal, the bigger picture. So often I see it all the time, especially with new clients. Everyone gets really stuck on that short-term satisfaction. Like, I want to lose 10 pounds yesterday. I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 6 weeks. Well, we really need to look at the bigger picture and set you up to diet, set you up for success in the long term. So really look at the bigger picture and what your body needs right now to get you to where you want to be or to maintain that physique, right? Don't just focus on short-term satisfaction and go extreme with whatever you're doing and then jump off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon, off the wagon. No, you want to have a set plan for your long-term success and implement those things that you need to get you there. They also have social support. So no matter what your goals are, you need to have people in your corner cheering you on, or they're gonna be there to lift you up when you're down or to help you along the way, because no matter what your goals are, whether it's to gain muscle, lose body fat, maintain, sticking to a plan can be really hard, especially when life happens, and it always happens. So have a friend that's like an accountability buddy. You might hire a coach to keep you accountable. Even just tell your friends and family or share it on social media. Hey, these are my goals. You guys, I'm gonna check in with you guys. Help me along the way. Times will get tough, so you need people surrounding you that are gonna help push you along when the times get tough. They also, I love this one, they have flexible control rather than an all or nothing approach. And this is where that consistency comes in, because it's not about being perfect all the time and being on point. It's really about kind of being within a range, right? Being within a range where you're kind of up and down in this like little range box, right? So you want to be super consistent. If you have that all or nothing mindset where you're either on 110% or you're completely off the wagon, you're just going to be bouncing back and forth between weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain. Whereas if you're kind of in that middle ground, and you might bounce up and down a little bit, it's still going to keep you nice and consistent, and your weight's not going to fluctuate as much either. You're going to kind of stay within that lane towards whatever your goals are. So be flexible, right? Within some restraint rather than YOLO out this way. Okay, this is a big one. They limit stress. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much of a veteran you are in terms of tracking calories, or you've been following diets for a long time, or whatever it is. I don't care how long you've been doing this. if you have copious amounts of stress in your life, you're gonna find it really hard to see progress, and you're gonna find it really hard to stick to whatever you're doing, because stress kills, it just kills it. I've seen it. I remember having one client who I've been working with for almost a year now, and originally we had started her in a deficit, and we just kept cutting calories, and she just was not budging, barely budging on the scale. And we really took a look at her whole lifestyle. And I remember saying to her, you are just under so much stress with your job, with life, that there was so many things we went over. And it wasn't until she made certain lifestyle changes that we started to see that scale drop drastically. So stress can really be a factor that hinders any of your progress towards your goals. So you really need to implement times of relaxation, meditation, yoga, whatever it is to reduce stress in your life. Make sure you implement those things on a weekly basis. The final thing successful dieters do is they consume adequate protein. Protein is so important. You need it to help rebuild all your muscle tissue, keep you nice and full and satisfied. It helps with recovery. You need adequate protein. So I suggest you set a minimum amount of protein, that's a mouthful, minimum amount of protein. A minimum amount of protein to hit each day to help you get to those targets, and make sure you're getting enough protein in your day. It's gonna do wonders, I promise. So if you're struggling to stay on track, ask yourself, how many of these characteristics are you implementing into your daily lifestyle and your weekly habits as well? Get this honed in, and this should help you stay on track to getting towards your goals. Baby, I got one line left, so I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What are some things you put into practice to help you stay on track? Or are you just completely struggling right now? Are you just falling off the wagon, back on the wagon? I'd love to hear what's going on with you guys. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any videos. And that's it from me. Until next time.